Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and our 73rd coffee stream. And Skep Talk and I are back together this morning, and we're ready to bring you some coffee stream fun. How are you, Skep, this morning?
Oh, man. It seems like we were just doing this. Last night, Blind Press was on my show
Yes.
on the Wednesday night Minions, and I would classify that as a pretty good time.
That was a really fun last night, actually. That was poor Adam.
I knew you got. I've already heard from half the people on the stream about that. So yeah, poor Adam. So, but we tease him, but we love him, and that's okay. But yeah, that was a fun stream. We didn't talk about any of the stuff that I had lined up to talk about, and that happens occasionally with Minions. It's a very different stream than this. On this stream, it's a conversation between you and me, and we interact with our chat quite a bit about topical things generally, but just in talking about the type of shows that it is. Minions is a very different attitude almost. It's a different atmosphere. The Minion stream is more like a conversation among a bunch of friends, and you just have absolutely no idea if it's going to be about news items, YouTube drama, or something just completely off the wall and silly, and just be a completely silly discussion for 30 minutes. And last night was kind of had all of those things all through.
It really did, and it was really fun. Like, just the fact that me, Adam, and Sanguine just took over talking about Soul Calibur for 15 minutes.
That was, and I'm making a comment, hey, it sounds like Inuit. Because I don't know anything about Soul Calibur. I think it's a fighting game. It might be. I don't know. Maybe it's a maze game. Who the hell knows? Maybe Soul
Calibur is a fighting game that takes place in the 16th century.
Of course it is.
So it's also sword fighting, and yeah.
Yeah, and having actually been alive in the 16th century, which I was, I know what the legitimate fighting was actually like, and I got enough of it then. So, which is really one of the reasons that I don't play games, is I've lived in all these fantasy kingdoms, and I'm several thousand years old at this point. So anyway, interesting stuff. I guess there's so many things I want to plunge into. But one quick thing. So I thought, well, I'll do a little show prep this morning. I'll impress everybody, and I'll go get some news of the day. And I headed over to, I thought, well, let's try mainstream media. Head to NBC, see what they have. So I thought they'll for sure have something about the stock market going up 1,000 points yesterday. No problem. I'll be able to, catch a little story off of that. Do you know they did not even mention it?
Imagine my shock.
I actually am shocked. I mean, to me, that's like not mentioning the fact that we've declared war on somebody. That was a huge thing, and it really rips into their narrative. They didn't mention that. They also didn't mention the fact that they published a story saying that Trump broke a decades-long tradition of going to see the troops on Christmas by not going to see the troops on Christmas. And he showed up, surprise, surprise, in Iraq with the troops at Christmas. With Melania in tow, he flew her into a combat zone. And it was, one of these deals where Air Force One did the, deep dive, the combat landing and combat egress to entrance and egress to, which is a very steep dive to land and a very steep climb out to, get away from RPGs and surface to air stuff. They could shoot it down. So I thought, well, I'll sure see something about some of these things. Not a peep.
So wait,
Not
they
a
got
peep.
mad. They got mad that Trump didn't go visit troops that weren't deployed in
Right.
favor of going to see troops that actually were.
Right. Exactly. So
Okay.
yeah, it makes perfect sense. And then they were angry that it was secret. They were angry that they were fooled. I mean, they really have the sound of a spoiled child at this point. You got to realize that NBC is full of people that make Jim Acosta look well balanced.
But of course it was secret, because if you announce that the leader of the fucking free world is going to be flying into Iraq with the first lady, do you really think that
Is that a good idea? Is that really a good idea?
Setting up their fucking SAMs and RPGs? Are you serious? Fuck off.
Exactly. Truly.
Just fuck off with that crap.
Yeah. And they would say, well, we would prefer it if the president would, be killed by these people, because then we would have President Pence. And that would be better.
Oh, yeah, okay. Maybe it would be better in order to prove them right?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what they mean by better? At least they could be right?
Good Lord.
Is that what, would they do anything to be right, including putting Mike Pence in power?
People used to speculate that that's why President Nixon picked Vice President Agnew, the man who most people would have said in the United States was the dumbest governor of any state. He made Sarah Palin look like Einstein.
Jesus Christ. Is that even possible?
He was an old crook from Maryland. And I used to, when I lived in Virginia, we would get all the Maryland ads, because they advertise on the Virginia stations. All the television stations were in Virginia, and the Maryland ads would come on. I would see him come on, and I would think, looking at him, that guy looks like every liar I've ever known. And I was like in the 9th grade when he was running for governor of Maryland. And I could tell then that he was a complete liar. He eventually would resign in disgrace from the vice presidency after having been convicted of high crimes and misdemeanors.
Oh, wow.
Just a few years before Nixon resigned, yeah. And Nixon chose Gerald Ford, who had a magnificent pedigree, as his vice president. And Congress impeached Nixon without a second thought.
Yeah.
And Nixon resigned in disgrace. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting that NBC saw fit to cover a free climbing raccoon on the side of a building, which is interesting, I guess. And a guy who had trekked across Antarctica solo. Okay, that's interesting too. It's all interesting, but those seem kind of like soft features for when the leader of the free world is flying into a combat zone, and the stock market of the most important economic power in the world has its single largest day gain of all time.
Well, what was it that Prospero said, that she got a response from somebody? Do it for 5 days and then we'll talk, or something like that. Like,
oh yeah.
What's that fucking point? What's the point in that?
And if it goes for 5 days, they'll say do it for 10 or 20 or 50 or what. It's just kicked down the road. It's witless. It's brainless. There's no thought or argument behind their position. They're just saying nay, 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 nay. It's kids on a playground. And that's why it's one thing I don't do anymore, is that I don't participate in arguments like that. If you want to make an argument with points and logic and backup and documentation and stuff like that, I will talk with you all day on Twitter, and you know that I will, because you've seen me. But if you're just going to come out and say, well, anything Trump does is bullshit. Well, no, that's not going to fly. You
No.
have to back up your points with stuff. Some of what he does is wrong. Some of what he does is right. And I think Ben Shapiro got it right. The thing to do is to call balls and strikes. When he does something good, it's a strike. When he does something dumb, it's a ball.
Mhm.
Period. Just call it like it actually is. One of my dear friends, my best friends of all time, probably my best friend of all time outside of family and stuff like that. The guy I went to high school with. I love this guy. He's the brother I never had.
Yeah.
He is he's a liberal of the Nancy Pelosi stripe. And it's because he's good-hearted, because he's a sweet guy. He was also an undersecretary of the Navy. He's a very powerful political person. He was a captain in the Navy. He retired and then went to work in the Department of Navy and rose, through the ranks. He's an attorney and very smart, very intelligent guy, and just completely given over to the left. We should take refugees. We should settle it, love the Muslims, and the Jews are kind of suspect. And I don't know what happens to people. They just get caught up in the machine, in the heady business of government. When you get that whiff of getting to really run things, you'll dance with them as brung you, as they say. In other words, you'll stay with the people who brought you into power because that lure of power is so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend would never. I don't think he would ever back off these positions, no matter what I said. Anyway, I suggested to him that, so he hates Trump like the plague, hates him. And I said, well, let's just call balls and strikes with Trump. And he said, balls and strikes? And I said, yeah. He said, all right, balls and strikes. Like I'm, a nursery school child.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, come on, we've never been like this. And it's just amazing what takes him over. Anyway, we're to the point now where we just don't talk about politics. It's better that way. And that's a shame because he's a bright guy. And I think if he discussed things in a straightforward and honest manner, he would see that things are a little more complicated than the simple idea that, the best thing Trump can do is, resign and take his entire administration with him. But anyway,
I found a news article. It's a couple of days old, but it was in the Discord.
What was it about?
Server, and it was actually read on Monkey's stream on Saturday, not Saturday, Tuesday, Christmas Day, Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. But
Christmas Day was Tuesday.
Yeah, so Monday. It was read on Monday.
Okay.
But I still wanted to talk about it because it's very close to home.
Okay.
And it was the Ontario Party of Islam that says that Islam is, get this, the native religion of Canada and Ontario.
Well, it is. It is.
And
the Inuits all practice Islam.
This is their first year trying to be a party. I don't know how far they're going to get.
They call it a native religion.
Yes, it is.
Ontario.
It is
really?
not a native religion. The native religion. It is the native religion of Canada and Ontario.
Because why? Who were the settlers who were building these mosques and stuff?
I don't know.
Back in the 1600s, or are they saying that the Inuits, when they were not playing Soul Calibur, were practicing? I think it's a fair question. what? That just makes no sense to me at all.
When I heard that, and when I heard it on Monday night, and again when I was reading the article, I actually have it on Twitter. Where did I can actually here. Let me send it to you.
Yeah, I was going to say, or yeah, I can. Islam is
actually. I don't know how far back it is in the Discord, though. Actually, so
of Ontario. I just want to search on that and Islam in Canada Wikipedia. There are over 1 million Muslims in Canada. 1,053,945 Muslims. About 3.2% of the population, making Islam the second largest religion in the country after Christianity. The majority of Canadian Muslims live in the provinces of Ontario and Quebec. And they hate everything. Just kidding. The Grand Mosque in Ottawa is a big honking mosque. And very few Muslims live in the Yukon. Okay. There are a total of 40 Muslims living in the Yukon.
I've got the story pulled up if you
don't
absolutely mind my screen reader reading it.
Or if you shoot me the link.
Here, let me figure out how to
copy the link in there and throw it into Twitter.
Or I'll just put it in side chat and Hangout.
That would be cool.
Copy that. Close that. Close that. Open that. And paste that.
All I get is about blank. That's all you pasted.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
Why the fuck did it do that? Yeah. Here. Well, since I opened the page, the history will have the link. Islamic Party of Ontario.
What source is this? Is this like a newspaper or a some dopey website or?
I don't know the name of the website here. It's not showing me the name of the website.
That's handy.
Yeah, I know, right?
No standards.
Yeah, like I've got.
While you're doing that, I was going to ask you if you were familiar with the fact that California repassed net neutrality. They reinstated net neutrality in California.
Of course they did.
That should be interesting.
I did not know they did that.
Sure are a lot of web presences in California.
Yeah.
That's going to effectively reinstate it almost for the whole world.
I'm just going to Google it because it's not letting me copy and paste that particular link.
Okay. Or you could share your screen with me and just.
I don't know how to share it without only showing the Hangout.
Okay, no worries.
Because I suck.
No, not at all. Not at all. We don't talk like that. Just something new to learn, and we'll figure that out.
Wait, Islamic Party of Canada?
The Islamic Party of Canada.
What?
I didn't know they were partiers. I mean, I think it's cool.
What?
I think
What?
everybody should party more, really.
This is okay. I googled Islamic Party of Ontario, and I get Islamic Party of Canada.
Okay.
What is this? I just clicked on the link here of the website.
Well, I've got Islamic Party of Ontario right here. Let's see. The Islamic Party of Ontario is ready to implement Islamic Sharia.
Oh, good.
That's good to hear. And the Parti Islamique du Canada has lots of French-speaking people talking about that. They're actually doing or I guess that was a live chat. It's over now.
So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that there's a lot of French-speaking though, because think about how many French-speaking African countries there are.
Oh yeah. Mozambique was a thing, and the French had extensive colonies in Africa and the Far East.
The news article that I wanted to read is being ridiculous, but what I wanted to talk about was the fact that this is actually a thing that's happening.
Okay.
It's kind of... Isn't Canada just Ontario in the wilderness? Well, Ontario is wilderness. Well, not all of it, but...
Most of it is. Canada is amazingly rural. The funny thing about Canada is, and especially the Canada-United States border, is that all the cities in Canada are on the bottom of Canada because that's the warmest part of Canada.
Yep.
It's the coldest part of the United States. So there are no cities, except for, strangely, Buffalo, on that side of the Canadian border. I mean, even Seattle is decently removed, from Canada. I know there's Bellevue and stuff like that, but you know what I'm saying. And so you have these when you look at it on Google Earth, you have these tremendously urban areas in Canada. And then you come right down to the 49th parallel. And unless you're in Buffalo or Detroit area, it just stops. And it immediately becomes extremely rural. And it's like turning off a light switch. It happens right there at the line. So the other thing I was going to comment about that, I was just going across I was actually trying to find the northernmost part of the United States, the lower 48 states, because I thought, since it all goes along the 49th parallel, it really shouldn't make any difference, right? Whether you're in Maine or Washington, you're on the 49th parallel, so it's all the same. Except there's an exception, and they call it the angle. And there is a little chunk of Minnesota that kind of nudges into Canada. And it's actually the northernmost part, the northernmost point of the lower 48 states. And it goes a few miles north just because of because it follows the terrain as opposed to following the 49th parallel.
Yeah.
There was some kind of deal made with Canada to include that part in the United States and have it administered. They call it the Angle Township of Minnesota. And it just, the interesting thing about it is, in order to drive to the United States part that's way up north there, you have to go through Canada unless you fly there and parachute down onto that little area. So it's an unusual geographic thing. I just thought I would point that out, as long as we were talking about nothing in particular. I've got a puppy who's gnawing on my power cable. So if I suddenly go off here, you'll understand. I'll try and reach my phone.
Without sounding like a racist person, the fact that this is a thing that's going on in Ontario is rather terrifying to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's not even a Christian party.
Right.
Of Ontario or Canada.
There shouldn't be.
No. There's not a Jewish party of Ontario. There's not a Sikh party of Ontario. Like, all of these people from all of these different religions have found a political party to join.
Right.
Like, there are Sikhs that are in the Liberal Party. There are Sikhs that are in the Conservative Party. There are Christians in
both parties.
Why does there need to be an Islamic party of any province or of the nation, and why is it being allowed?
And you asked me that question. You've come to the right place because I have an answer for you. Islam is fundamentally different from Christianity or Buddhism or Sikhism or even Scientology or Mormonism, Catholicism, any of those. It's fundamentally different in that it is more than a religion. It is an all-encompassing cultural package that dictates how you are to live your life from cradle to grave. It's much more than just a religion, okay? Having Sharia law is the closest thing you can call it, probably liken it to, would be something like Orthodox Judaism or maybe the Amish people, the way that they live, because the way that they live their lives are governed by their religion, and that's true of every Muslim is supposed to live that way. This is not just the fanatics, not just the fundamentalists. Every single Muslim is encouraged, exhorted, even in the Quran and in the Hadith and in the biography of Muhammad, to live that way, to give themselves over to Allah. Okay. They call it the religion of peace, but that's not what it means. Islam does not mean peace. You know what it means? Submit. And that means submit at the point of a sword. So you asked the question, why do they have a political party? And the reason is because Islam is about dictating how you live your life. And what they want to do is to be able to force you at the point of a sword to live an Islamic life. And I hope it won't be an inconvenience for you, but you'll have to undergo female genital mutilation in order to please Muhammad's spirit and to please Allah. Allah would find it pleasing if you would do that. So you must do that.
Yeah,
it's not going to be a problem. It's going to be okay, right?
I will go to jail for beating a Muslim with my cane if that ever happens. I will proudly go to jail for that.
They'll hang you.
They'll
hang you. If you strike a Muslim man, especially an imam, they'll hang you. They'll kill you.
Good for them. I'll die for my principles.
Well, they're all about that. They're there for you. The thing to do is to take as many of them with you as you can. And from my standpoint, I would never submit to that. I would form an active resistance as quickly and as efficiently as I could to forestall something like that. And there are people who are ready to give up and to say, maybe that really is a better way to live. They're crazy people. They're the people that Linda Sarsour feeds on. There's a creepazoid. How would you like to have her in charge of your world, in charge of telling you what you could and could not do?
I don't understand how any woman in any developed Western nation can look at what she says and go, yeah.
Exactly. you know,
Like I don't know what happened to these women or who hurt them
well,
to
let's
the point where they think that Linda Sarsour has knowledgeable things to say.
yeah, Linda Sarsour actually has told on herself. She's explained herself before, and people were listening and wrote it down. And she said that, before all this happened, I was just a housewife in Brooklyn. I was nobody. Now I'm somebody. I'm important. That is, she's inadvertently telling on her own self. She's inadvertently disclosing why Islam is really truly important to her, and it's because she is somebody. She's so important. That is heady stuff for some people that just become addicted to the fame,
Is
the
that
adulation.
completely anti-Muslim?
Oh yeah, I mean she's as bad a Muslim as you can get. The only thing she does is wear chador. She has not undergone female genital mutilation, and she's going to love that. She's not. She doesn't. She listens to modern music. She doesn't obey any of the tenets of Sharia, really, to speak of. She's not a good Muslim, and anybody who says that they enjoy that life is really capable of not wanting much. That's all I can say, because it just cuts off so much of life for women. It really is staggering when I hear these liberal folks going on and on about how wonderful Islam is and what a beautiful religion it is. I just shake my head. To me, it's evil. It is evil incarnate. I hope I don't get you kicked off the air. Me saying that.
Well,
The
and
opinions Skeptok is expressing are his own.
well, and it's hard to talk about, like, my grandmother gets really upset with my grandfather because he gets really angry when you mention Muslims. But if you look at, like, if you read the Quran, like, it's hard because there are, like, people like my mother are like, well, you can't hate a person for what they believe.
Yeah.
And in theory, yeah, that's true. You shouldn't hate somebody just because they believe something different than you. But when the person that you're saying you shouldn't hate is taught to hate you because you don't believe what they believe, what do you do with that?
You have to discard it as an unworkable way of living. If you can't discard that, you'll have to live the life of a bigot.
Mommy. Hi, honey.
Oh, hi.
Mommy's streaming. Can you say hi, chat?
Pick me up.
Pick you up?
Yeah.
Do you want to play your Paw Patrol game?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you talk to chat for a second while I set up Alex's game?
Certainly.
All right.
And have some fun with that. It's fun, always fun to have Alex on the show. What would we do without puppies and little children to have on our show?
Ta-da!
A boisterous little lad.
Me just a dog.
Me just a dog.
Yes, he's been pretending to be a dog.
He's preparing for the new arrival.
Yes.
That's going to be fun.
Okay, Mommy will be right there. I'm going to come set up your game for you. Okay, I'll be right back.
In other news, one of the things that I did come across was, if I can find it here again, was about a guy who really did cross the Antarctic by himself. Did I close that up? Dadgummit. I thought I Yeah, I did. Oh well. At any rate, yeah, a guy crossed the Antarctic by himself, all by himself, a solo crossing of the Antarctic ice cap. And the first thing that occurs to me is, why would you do that? But the second thing is that that's really kind of an amazing thing. Yeah, man complete solo trek across Antarctica. Let's take a quick look at this. And oh darn, all it is video. There's not really a good way to share video here, but that's the problem with going through the mainstream media. The interesting thing was that was the number one trending story on NBC, even as on the crawl, it on that story they have a crawl on the bottom, and it says Dow soars more than 1,000 points Wednesday. So that the mainstream media is just digging itself a hole. It's really a big problem. And we have Blind Press's phone bringing into the microphone. So that's kind of interesting. I guess we'll have to wait through that. In the meantime, I guess I can jump over into chat and see what chat is talking about. Let's see. Pincalo is complaining $55 for a single line strolling Paw Patrol PlayStation game. Kill me. I hear you, buddy. I hear you, bud. It just the games are that's just a lot of money being concentrated very, very, very quickly this time of year. And let's see. This all right. Logan and I have picked up the skin. We are now gassing up and about to do a 700-kilometer journey. Yay! Poor Pincalo. Oh man, that's let's see, what else have we got going on. Duck Dog says, Mr. Misanthropic, aerial spraying like pest control in a cornfield. Ha ha ha. I don't know what that's referring to. Maybe if I go back up here, I can find out what's going on. Make Trudeau a ski instructor again. Make Canada great again. Very funny, Seth. Very nice. And Mr. Misanthropic says that Islam is as much a political ideology as it is a religious one. Absolutely. It covers politics as a part of life. It talks about the political part of living, and is very specific about legislating the different parts of religious law. It covers things like property law, inheritance, contracts, criminal law. All of those are covered in Sharia, the provisions of Sharia. So I agree with Mr. Misanthropic that Islam is just as much a political ideology as it is a religious one. So as it is religious. So there you go.
Sorry about my phone ringing.
Oh, no worries. It happens.
That was probably Pincalo calling me for some reason.
One fun thing from chat I wanted to, Sith, with his usual great sense of humor, says, don't you know Islam is the religion of feminism? Don't you find that a strange alliance?
I really do.
The feminists sitting there defending Islam and the nonsense that comes out of Islam. Plus, FGM, really? And they will sit there and say, well, that's not really Islam. What?
Okay.
Muhammad actually refers to it by name. It's in the Hadiths. It's mentioned even once in the Quran. And you're saying it's not that. No, it's basically an African affectation, which is it's very popular in Africa, but it is completely coming from Islam. That's what started it. That was not something that Africans have better sense than that. Actually, than
They do.
that, except unless God tells them to. That's the only reason you would do that. God told me to. Got to do that. You know, same like circumcising a baby. God says He likes the babies cut the genitals of the babies. Okay. I'm not sure that that's something you want to do without consent, but maybe that's me. Am I crazy there?
I don't think so.
So
Sorry, I'm laughing at Alex. He's
I understand.
yelling at his game.
This is a family show here. We talk about female genital mutilation and children in the same breath. You know, we just.
I'm starting to understand. I used to get so mad at those articles, the parenting articles about like, I can't wait for the holidays to be over.
Yes.
And all that stuff. Like when I had
Right.
when they were babies, right?
Oh yeah.
And even before I had kids, I was like, well, how
Yep.
can you say that about your own children, right?
Yep.
Because you're supposed to love your children, right? And I
You
have
can still love
discovered that you can love your children and want them to not be around you at the same time.
That's absolutely right. You need a rest, and it's wonderful to have them around. And you know, the amazing thing is once they're gone, man, they are gone. They are G-O-N-E gone, and you will just see them every once in a while. Just hear from them every once in a while. I've never been the parent who had to hear it from their children every day. And my kids are not the sort to call their parents every day. They're quite the contrary. I'm lucky to hear from them, 4 or 5 times a year. But when I do, it's always a good conversation, good long conversation. And I love those kids. They love me. But
no matter
I've raised
how
them to
much-
be very independent.
Well, no matter how much I may say that because my mom is a ridiculous lefty person,
Yes.
but she's still there for her like if I need help, like if Pincalo's stuck in Toronto, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I can't, and I won't make it till the daycare on the bus in time. I can
Yes.
always call her
And
or
she'll
text
swoop
her,
in.
and she'll go and get Logan.
Yeah.
Or like on Monday, she took both boys to her office Christmas party.
Mhm.
On Sunday, she took both boys over to her house, and Alex and my sister decorated the tree,
Mm.
and they made shortbread, and she even put Logan for his nap and kept him until he woke up.
That's wonderful.
So like I get frustrated with her because she's too smart to be holding the ideology that she holds.
Yes.
Like it's kind of like your friend where you're sitting there going, but you're intelligent.
smart.
Why? Like
Yeah.
it's
Why are
the
you
same-
letting your heart overrule your head?
Yeah, it's the same thing with my mom. It's like, dude, you're intelligent.
Right.
You have a master's in philosophy. You went to school to think.
Yes.
Why are you
Literally.
not thinking?
Supposed to
Why
be able
are-
to read your way through that.
Yeah, that's why I get so frustrated with her, because it's like you have the ability to think. Why are you
Yeah.
not thinking?
Yeah. Well, that's you can probably make that point for the entire left. They think the same about us. The difference between us, the difference between the wanting lots of government and wanting not very much government is where do you want the choice making mechanisms of society to lie? Do you want them to lie in the accumulated wisdom of society and thereby lie, residing in a government that tells you what to do, that makes your choices for you?
Mhm.
Or do you want them to reside in the individual so that you maximize freedom? And some people say, well, no, I think that government is good. Maximizing the influence of government will make for a better society. And you can argue that. That's actually a tenable argument. I can argue that and make a solid argument that you'll find appealing, But then I can blow it away very easily, by showing that as good an argument as you can make for the accumulated wisdom of society and not making the same errors over and over again, it's better to have an educated populace and have the good decisions being made by each person in the population. So, but to have them be made independently, because that way you don't criminalize the entrepreneurs, the rule breakers, the iconoclasts, the guys who give your economy and society pizzazz. You don't null them into a dull conformity that socialism makes everything gray.
Yes.
And over time, socialism will stifle innovation, whereas certainly unbridled capitalism, but capitalism to any real extent will tend to reward it very handsomely. And so in a society where innovation and development and progress are emphasized and rewarded, it will outcompete a socialist-based society every day of the week. And you can have these, you can have places like Sweden and Norway and Denmark that are socialist. Basically, you have a very small population. They're very cohesive culturally. At least they were until they started letting Muslims in. And they are relatively well educated and normative. And by normative, what I mean is they have a culture that indicates you behave a certain way. So you start with some basic advantages that, the United States doesn't have that. The United States is the most non-normative bunch of behaviors in the world. I mean, we're basically a bunch of criminals who have to be coerced by the law to obeying the law. That's one of our biggest problems, is that we don't have that normative society of a place like Norway or Britain. British have a saying: "It simply isn't done, old boy." Mm-hmm. That's like the ultimate statement of normativism. Normativism. That is the ultimate statement of, this is the way we do things.
I think
culturally that's what's acceptable. Canada definitely has that,
because it's just not polite.
Yes,
that's just what we say. It's just not polite. It's just not right.
Done, old chap. It's the same thing, really.
It's just not right. It's just not polite. There's several variants of it.
And Americans go, why not?
Yeah,
let's do that. Let's put the couch out in the front yard. Car up on blocks, that'll be fine.
If it's like when you hear of somebody like breaking a law in Canada, it's not like, obviously we want punishment and justice done, right?
Yeah.
But the first question that we always go is like, but why? Why would you do that? That's just not cool. That's not right. Like, why? And it's just I think it's our normative, very polite. Like, it takes a lot culturally for a Canadian to just go, fuck it, I'm angry, fuck you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
But slow burn.
When it does, we go and we torch the White House. I know we were still British subjects at the time, so it technically was Britain that did it, but fuck you, we did it. um, and strangely enough, that's a thing that I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the rivalry between, because we do kind of have a friendly, I don't know if it's a friendly rivalry or if it's like a, I can't tell if the rivalry between Canada and the US is sibling rivalry or if it's like actual right, because we technically, if you want to think about it, we are sibling nations.
Oh, very much so.
And
Very much so.
we definitely have that competition because if you want to think about it, we came from mommy Britain and daddy France.
Yes.
Both nations did. We, Canada more so, but you guys had the Louisiana Purchase you bought from the French.
Yes, we did.
You guys got a whole bunch of Acadians from Canada.
We sure did.
That were French speaking.
That's where the French part of Louisiana,
Yeah,
the French part came from.
So both Canada and the States are very much sibling nations whose nation parents were Britain and France, and we both kind of have the competition to and it's weird. We're like the kids that are like, I don't give a crap what mom and dad think. Mom and dad, what do you think? About us not giving a crap about what you think, you know what I mean? It's very much the children that pretend that they don't care what their parents think about them, but they really, really do.
Yeah.
Really deep down.
Deep down, they do.
They still want Britain's approval.
So
I don't know where I was going with that analogy.
I know. I was just kind of getting into the,
we have
a bunch of thoughts about that myself.
Says Alex Zima.
We're a superior nation. Yeah, maybe. Possibly.
We're not sibling nations. You're our hat, says Mr. Misanthropic.
You're our hat. And we have CRISPRs. You don't. Superior nation here. Okay. I don't even know what CRISPRs are, but
food does not. No, if you want to say food makes a superior nation, we have Putin, and you guys don't. So
Putin is
amazing.
What is it?
It is deep fried, like severely deep fried fries with gravy and cheese curds. And if you want to get fancy, you can put steak on it. But I don't. I just like
put steak on it.
You can, or pulled pork.
Interesting.
But I just like your generic poutine bought in Quebec from a roadside chip wagon. Oh my fucking god, it's heart attack in a box, but it's amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be good for you. Yeah. It's like deep fried Twinkies and stuff.
And because Quebec is a huge cheese producer, most of the cheese curds that you will get from a roadside chip wagon in Quebec are local cheese curds.
Yeah.
And they are the cheese, like, you get a good cheese curd when you bite into it and it squeaks between your teeth. And it's, oh my god, it's so good. Oh my god. You go and you get poutine in Ontario and it's usually shredded cheese.
I never met a piece of cheese that I didn't like. That's for real. I could be very happy in a cheese intensive nation. And Americans, bless our hearts, we don't do cheese very well. We just don't. American cheese is, well, not really cheese. It's more like urethane. And it just tastes like foam rubber.
Now everyone in chat is comparing food.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, that's the thing. Yeah, In-N-Out is not as good as people think it is. Yeah, that might be true, but it's still good.
Yeah.
In-N-Out burgers are good. They're
Pink
not.
Hollow misses In-N-Out Burger.
I mean, they're not as insanely amazing as people make it out to be. And animal style is not that big an improvement on the regular burger. I do like their sauce though. I do think it's good.
Yeah, Pink Hollow definitely misses In-N-Out Burger.
Yep. Then, but it's not hard to make a good hamburger. It just isn't. Yeah, you can. There are so many places that claim to have the world's greatest hamburgers. We have one in Fort Worth, well, and Dallas now too. It's been serving hamburgers for 50 or 60 years, and they've stayed a regional firm, but it's called Keller's Drive-In Hamburgers, and it's just an exceptional hamburger, greasy hamburger and greasy fries, and it's in a drive-in type of thing. So they bring the food out to you, and it's just exceptional, really, really good stuff. Every place has, almost every place. I'm going to accept Great Britain there. Every place except Great Britain has good places to eat. And even Great Britain has good places to eat. It's just not English food.
Mm-hmm.
They have great Indian and Thai and Chinese, Japanese, really authentic places to eat in London. But British food, no, negative. It is as bad as its reputation is. It's worse actually than its reputation. It's one of those few things that's undersold by reputation. It's awful. They just need to get rid of the British food and start over. Steak and kidney pie. Who was doing the thinking there?
Yeah.
No.
The Brits just have and I love my people, but the Scots haggis, what the fuck? Come on.
and eating animal blood clots?
Yeah.
Really? Have you ever seen Count Dankula when he talks about what he had for breakfast this morning? And it's a big giant clot, on a biscuit. That's his favorite breakfast.
Yeah, no.
I'm just like, wow.
I often wonder, I often look at Klingons and I go, space Vikings with a Scottish diet.
Very good. Space Vikings.
Roqueg blood pie, freaking gach, freaking just. If you were to serve them haggis, they would probably go, serve them blood pudding. Oh yeah. I didn't know humans ate this food. Why?
Yeah, this haggis is excellent. I enjoy the sheep stomach. How lovely. How nice for you. So, German breakfast is good stuff. I like the Germans know how to do sausage.
They really do.
Proper sausage. And I'll tell you, the ones who know how to, the place that eats like hobbits is interesting. It's a little country, and it's Belgium. They have delicious everything from there really is such a thing as Belgian waffles, and they do come from Belgium, and they are made with confectioner sugar and a light pastry with confectioner sugar and lemon on them. Yummy. Oh my God, they're just out of this world. And then they have every kind of chocolate you can think of, and it's real chocolate. It's not American chocolate. When I came back to the United States, I was so spoiled. I was such a chocolate snob, because I'd been, eating,
Belgian chocolate,
where over there Tobler's is garbage, Tobler, which is like the Cadillac of chocolate that you'll get in the United States. That stuff is considered, it's not as good as the home brews. And the home brews that we would get from the confectioner shop were just amazing, and the other thing is that the chocolate in Belgium doesn't have near as much sugar as it does. It tastes like chocolate. It doesn't taste like sugar. He came back to the United States. I bit into a Snickers bar, and I said, "What is this? This is awful."
Yeah.
It took
All
me a
you
long
can
time.
taste was sugar, right?
That's exactly right. Sugar and peanut butter. And yeah, I eventually developed a taste for them. I still like Snickers bars, but it took about a year for me to adjust to American food generally, but in specifically chocolate. Anyway, I don't know what got me talking about that, but let's see. What are we talking? Mr. Adams
Still
says,
talking about food.
Dude, I'm eating beans in tortillas now with Spam. Adam, that is fine dining. Let's see. Chadwick Dupree said, I recently tried fresh octopus. That was an experience. Octopus is good. I like octopus. I especially like it deep fried. The little tiny octopi, deep fried. I think that's pretty wonderful. I think that's the best way to serve it.
I can't stand ocean fish.
You can't stand ocean fish, really?
No. And I used to really like freshwater fish, but
Yeah.
I was at about 10. We were eating perch at my grandparents' place, and my grandpa prides himself in filleting the fish very well. Like, he prides himself in just absolutely no bones left.
Yeah.
In
perch?
In anything.
Yeah. Perch is the bony fish.
Yeah. Well, he does them everything, like perch, catfish, anything. He takes the pride in getting all them bones out.
Okay.
And what he does is, the law is you've got to leave a skin tag on so that it can be identified, right? If you're transporting your fillets.
Oh, I got you. Sure.
You've got to leave a bit of a skin tag on.
Yes.
And I
to
think,
identify the fish. Yeah.
Yeah. And what happened was I think it was either the skin tag or like a tiny little piece of like a little tiny piece of like a zipper from the behind the gills.
Mm-hmm.
And it got stuck in my throat.
Oh no.
And
made you gag.
Well, no, it was stuck there for like a week.
Oh no.
So I had every time I swallowed, it was like a tiny little jab in my throat, and it finally dislodged like a week later.
Wow.
And it just turned me off fish entirely, which my grandparents were so sad. But I still try it every year. I still try it.
Well, that's really a shame because there's a lot of fish that's good. Of course, there's a lot of fish that's bad for you these days.
Yeah.
And so you got to be careful about what you eat. I love swordfish, but I can't eat it anymore because of the mercury.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I had my aunt, her brother used to eat tuna, like insane amounts of tuna.
Yeah.
To the point where he went to the doctor because his liver was hurting.
Oh my gosh.
And the doctor was like, dude, you got to cut out tuna. You're eating way too much tuna. You're basically poisoning yourself with all the mercury that you're eating.
Wow.
Because he would eat like 4 or 5 cans of it a day. Like he was one of these guys that would go work out, right?
Yeah.
And then use tuna as like his protein. He would make like tuna sandwiches and
it's a great lean source of protein.
But he was eating so much of it that his liver was just like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. You need to stop now.
I'm sorry if I sound distracted. I got a puppy who is chewing on my thumb, and she's just decided that my thumb is the thing that she wants to chew on. And Will Honorless says, Mercury, the taste of insanity. Absolutely. Make you mad as a hatter. you ever wonder where that expression came from, mad as a hatter?
It's from working with the mercury, right?
Yeah. They used the mercury to make the felt that they made the hats out. It's either to make it smooth or make it stiff. I can't remember, but anyway, they use it to in some part of the hat making process. And yeah, to after a while, all the guys who worked with hats would sort of go crazy, lose their shit. And they found out later it was because they all worked with mercury. You know, it's amazing what we've learned and how we've learned it over the years.
Well, I used to watch this. I'd like to look it up again, see if it's on Amazon Prime or on Netflix or something. It was a series of shows called Ancients Behaving Badly.
Ancients Behaving Badly.
And it was very interesting. They would look at certain historical leaders.
Yeah.
And psychologically analyze them. And put them on the bell curve, I can't remember what it's called. There's a name for it. The bell curve of the different mental health disorders, ranging from narcissism to psychopathy, and stuff like that. And they would place them on the bell curve.
Actually, I looked up Ancients Behaving Badly and said it's a British and Canadian produced documentary series that aired from November to December 2009 on the Canadian The History Channel and the American The History Channel.
Yeah.
The show focuses on the misdeeds of famous historical figures using forensic investigation, animated sequences, and historian interviews. Although events are depicted in a serious manner, the series has an occasional tongue-in-cheek narrative style.
It does, yeah.
It was narrated by Tom McCamus. Each episode features a new historical leader who, quote, behaved badly, end quote. The person's life story is explored through cartoon sequences and historian interviews. The historical figure is then placed on an Ancients Behaving Badly psychograph. The y-axis rates them from goal-driven killer to psychopathic murderer, while the x-axis measures individual pathologies. And the episodes were Caligula, Attila the Hun, Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, Nero, Hannibal, Genghis Khan, and Cleopatra.
Yeah. They were all really good. I loved them. I want to watch them all again.
That's wonderful. Looks great.
I'm into these weird, I'll go from historical stuff on the Black Plague.
Oh, sure.
To stuff like this, to Nat Geo had a series called Aftermath, where they would pose scenarios that, are either very unlikely or we won't be around to see, like the death of the sun, right?
Yeah.
And they would speed them up to see what would happen if we were affected by it. There was an episode called The Aftermath, The Death of the Sun. And what they did was they sped up the scenario. They sped up the sun's red giant phase in a what if scenario to see how long it would take before we died, basically.
Yeah.
They did one called A World Without Oil, where they hypothesized what would happen if the world's oil just disappeared. How long would it take for our reserves to run out, and what would we do after that? They did one called What Would Happen If the Earth Stopped Spinning, where they slowed the Earth's rotation over a period of 5 years. And then there was one where what would happen if the Earth's population suddenly doubled or something like that.
Yeah.
There was just a bunch of different. It was really cool hypotheses. When I'm not watching Let's Play Soul Calibur videos. I'm watching space things or stuff like this, or historical. I'm just all over the place.
No, I don't blame,
Um,
but so am I. It'll be, politics one minute, religion the next, science the next, science fiction the next, just whatever takes my fancy, that I have time to look at.
yeah.
I'm the same way. I think many of us are, and it's resulting in a population that is surprisingly well educated,
Mhm.
across the board. It's amazing how many good thinking people there are out there to have conversations with. That's why I think Twitter, in spite of the fact that they censor people who are not, part of the left leaning narrative, uh, in spite of that, it's a great platform and it's a great idea. And I think that sharing ideas with one another is that's the best thing you can do. It's really the best use of my time, in my opinion. My dachshund disagrees. Petting her and feeding her is the best use of my time, but that's just her opinion.
There's another series that I watched on National Geographic, and it was a disaster scenarios.
Ah,
But it wasn't like your stupid doomsday prepper stuff.
yes.
It was a group of physicists and
Oh, I saw that.
astrophysicists
I saw
got
that.
together, and I think there were 4 different episodes.
They were sitting around a big table.
Yeah, and one of the episodes was the Earth goes through a big freeze, like it gets knocked out of its orbit and goes past the orbit of Neptune. That was one disaster scenario. Another one was, what was it? A gamma ray burst.
Yeah, gamma ray burster. That's a bad day.
Another one was an asteroid impact, I think. And then I think there was a culmination one. It was like a 2-hour almost docu movie, like a pretend documentary movie called Evacuate Earth, where they had a neutron star on a course for our solar system, and this was, can we get the fuck off the planet before a neutron star comes? And they were very realistic. They went through the fact that we couldn't take all 7 billion people. We would have to pick we would have to genetically pick who would get to go. The genetically strong, the genetically prone to stability, like people without mental health issues.
No. That you would have to pick exactly the same number. Everything would have to be equal.
Yeah.
Every IQ would have to be represented. Every disability. You could have one able person, then you'd have to have one disability. Every kind of disability before you came around to the next able person.
Like they were.
There are people who would insist on that.
Oh, I know. Like, and they even showed that. Like they were very realistic. They hypothesized that there would be civil war over this. They hypothesized that the people that didn't get to go on the ark that they were called, the spaceship that they were building, would try and sabotage the spaceship. They hypothesized that the rich and powerful would try and build their own.
No doubt.
They were very thorough. Like, look up Evacuate Earth if you've got an hour and a half to spare. It's a very interesting, obviously impossible, but very interesting hypothesis. You can find it on YouTube.
National Geographic Evacuate Earth documentary. There it is. Evacuation Earth. Evacuate Earth. Full documentary. Space documentary. Cool. I will check that out. That's wonderful.
Doomsday scenarios don't really matter
I'm happy.
because we're all going to die anyway. May as well ride the lightning. Am I right? That's a good way of looking at it. Straight says Mail.
Wait. Whoa. Wow. Mom.
What? Why aren't you playing your game?
I'm missing help.
Well, I can't help you, honey. I can't see the game to help you.
Yeah.
What about Mormons? Mormons would get their own ship. Very good. It's prophecy. It certainly is.
The Golden Tower ship.
The Golden Tower ship.
Mom.
Alex, honey, I can't help you. What did you do?
Okay. Hi.
Getting a lot of love for that
That's me, Marshall.
You need
for that
Marshall
show.
And my game. And my game.
in your game?
Yeah.
Did you push the home button?
A home button.
Hold on a second, guys. What did you do?
Anyway, let's run back through chat a little bit and see what people have been saying. The coolest thing I saw was
Well, what are you supposed
Yeah.
to do?
Majora's Mask got the timeline correct on how long it would take the moon to fall. And I don't think the moon is falling. I think it's actually pulling away about 1 foot a year. I think that's what I remember. But let's see.
Honey, I can't help you.
I think bears are the only animal that can actually catch a fish midstream with their hand. Well, with their hand or paw, certainly. I mean, there are birds like the kingfisher.
Honey, I can't help you. I
They
can't
can
see it.
spearfish, and they
What?
literally use their beaks to spearfish.
You want a juice box? I'll get you a
Yeah.
juice box in a little bit, okay?
And Straight Systematic says, trout like to hide under the banks. What you do is you pet their belly, not joking, and hook one of your fingers in the gill. That's interesting. I've never heard of that. I will. There are a few things in life I have not tried, and patting a trout's belly and hooking a finger in the gill is one of those things. I've never done that. I've never gone. What is it called? The guys who go out and catch catfish with their hands. They basically go underwater and you just go along the bottom of the river or lake that you're in and looking for catfish. And what is that called? It's got a funny name. Catfish something. Catfish.
Oh, it's the original shroom. Hello, original shroom.
Noodling. That's what it's called. Noodling.
Hand fishing.
Hand fishing. Yeah.
Hillbilly hand fishing.
Hillbilly hand fishing. That's it. Noodling. Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of it. That's another thing that I've never done and plan to not do. Just
Yeah, I'd rather fish with a fishing pole, thank you.
absolutely. And
Honey,
you know,
I can't help you.
That's lucky cat boo.
I can't help you, honey, because I can't see the game.
Here, see.
No, I can't see, honey.
Mommy just loves you.
I just love you too, but I still can't see.
Mom,
that's
let's
sweet little
go.
voice.
Whoa!
Sorry, Mom. Mom,
What?
come on, let's go.
I can't go right now, buddy. Can you wait a couple of minutes?
No.
No.
Take a minute. Back.
You can't wait a couple of minutes?
It's not like he has the rest of his life to wait on you.
Okay, can you please stop moving my chair around? He's pushing my chair.
He's getting big.
That's you.
How much does he weigh now?
He is about 45 pounds.
I'm taking
Wow.
that off.
No, I'm not taking that off.
That's a big boy.
Well, he's 45 pounds and he's probably almost 4 feet tall.
Yeah, that's and he's how old?
He's 4.
He's 4 years old. That's huge.
He's a big boy.
Which is the
That's a
dog?
big.
You're
broad
just
boy.
a dog.
Yeah.
Okay, leave my headphones alone, please.
That's just amazing. That is absolutely amazing to me.
And he was a small baby. He was only 7 pounds.
Yeah.
This is a dog.
And he was 20 and a half inches long.
Oh man.
He was a small baby.
Yeah. Well, not huge anyway, just regular size. But
And his brother wasn't much bigger either. His brother was
Yeah.
7'4".
and is his brother big guy?
Yeah, he's now he's at 19 months old. He is like 20, at least 25 pounds.
25 pounds.
And he
19,
is,
year and a half. Yeah, that's about right.
and he's
Big.
probably about 33, 34 inches. He's a tall little.
He's a
tall
tall
kid.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's actually a very tall guy. So that's kind of fun.
He's up over. He's past my knees already. That kid.
Yeah, it's just a completely different subject. It's just something funny that happened when I came up. I Googled catfish hunting, thinking about hunting the catfish, not the catfish doing the hunting. But what I got was catfish. How do catfish hunt? Catfish eating pigeons in France
Holy crap!
is the number 2 selection. Catfish eats deer. Yes.
What?
Catfish eats pigeons. Catfish eats armadillo. Anyway, so I think that I have to see the catfish eats deer. I think I have to see. Oh my God, it's a video. I don't think I want to see this. It's not. Is that a deer or a fox? But it's a big, it's like a catfish the size of a whale. It's a big old catfish. And I think it's going to eat a fox, actually, what this is. And the fox, gets down to the water to, he's got the traditional fox tail and everything. And he's pulling on a rope. And what's going on here? Catfish gets close to shore. Fox ill-advisedly goes near the catfish. And the catfish does what? It's clickbait. I totally got it. Does nothing. Catfish just looks at it. So it's like, what? Thank you, Google. Thank you so much. Foxes have an age-old reputation for cunning and intelligence, and this video is any proof those claims are well-deserved. This is Lithuanian cameraman managed to capture footage of a fox attempting to pull in a huge catfish by the rope. It doesn't take long for the fox to realize that the fish is attached to the rope, and this resulted in a strange tug of war between the two animals. And interesting. Foxes aren't the only ones who have a strange intelligence. You know what animal has a strange intelligence? There are actually 2 that I can think of.
What's that?
One is an octopus. The other one is a crow.
Oh, crows freak me out.
Crows absolutely wig me out. Yes, it's just astonishing what you can see them.
Don't caw back at a crow.
Oh no,
Seriously, I'm not fucking around with you. Don't caw back at a crow. They will fly overhead at you. Like They
Yeah,
will fly
they'll
over
attack
you,
Yeah,
and they'll be like, "What?"
yeah,
It's
exactly.
almost like you've sworn at them.
Yep, yep.
You know what I mean? Like they caw, and you're just like caw, and they're like, "Excuse me,
Yeah.
what
You know
did
what
you
you just
just
said,
say?"
bro? So yeah, as a long-time runner, I wasn't always fat like I am now, but as a long-time runner, and I mean run many thousands of miles in my life, run marathons and that kind of stuff. I have many thousands of miles training on roads all over the world. And I have been attacked by crows so many times, it doesn't even unnerve me. It didn't even unnerve me toward the end of my running career. I just went, oh, it's a crow, and they basically attack you. They come down and they kind of scramble your hair, the top of your hair, real quickly with their talons, and then fly away. That's their whole attack. They kind of go, showed you. And but it's when it happens a lot in the spring if you go near their nesting site, and I mean near their nesting site means anywhere within about 100 feet.
Yep. You may not even know where it is.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
they think that you know, and they're like, "Fuck off!"
Yeah, that's it. That's just exactly right.
When we lived at my mother's house, her backyard and her neighbor's backyard was just full of trees.
Yeah.
And the elementary school was like 200 yards away. So there was crows all over that neighborhood.
Oh wow.
And there was a nesting pair in the backyard, and I would go out to smoke, and I would be sitting against the back door, and they would be in the tree. Just if crows could growl,
Yeah.
that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
And it was like, keep away, right? And I actually it's kind of funny. I swear to God, I actually got to hear Mama Crow laying her eggs.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What sound does that make?
Oh, it was definitely a grunting sound.
Oh, okay.
It was like, and had I not ever given birth before, I probably wouldn't have figured it out.
Yeah. You made that grunting sound yourself.
But when I heard that noise, I'm like, oh, she's laying eggs.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's a particular noise that any animal would know. Any female animal.
I was going to say any female animal who's been through the experience could probably identify with getting something that large out of something that small.
Blind smoke. Yeah, Adam, when I went outside to go smoke my greenery, because we did not smoke in my mother's house. My mother is highly allergic to smoke, like cigarette smoke, marijuana smoke, to the point where it's almost a hypochondria thing. Like, her dad died of emphysema because he was a smoker. He died when she was 12.
Yeah.
So I think it's a psychosomatic thing. Like, I don't doubt that smoke bothers her, but she brings it to a whole other level. Do you know what I mean? Like, she works herself into an asthmatic episode.
Over the smoke.
Over it.
Yeah.
Mom,
What?
look.
Oh, is that a barrel from Nana's house?
Yeah.
We'll have to bring it back to her
Why?
because it doesn't belong here.
Oh,
Why, Mom?
cute guy.
They have like stacking toy barrels at my grandma's house, and one of them accidentally made it into our bag of stocking goodies.
Ah, I see. Very good. Let's. Everything's exciting to a kid at that age,
It's true.
and they just discover everything. It's so much fun. It keeps me young. Even my grandchildren now are getting to the. My youngest is now 10 years old.
Oh wow!
And yeah, I know how quickly they move on, and now they're all getting into video games, and everything is blasé. And you know that I'm afraid my last kid is done, is graduating from kidhood into adolescence, and now we get to deal with those happy times. Very, very, very strange times to deal with. And you're going to have 3 girls and a boy all going through that. And it should be interesting.
See, I always told my sister when she went through puberty, I'm like, I'm going to be there for you. I know it's going to be hard between you and mom. I'm always going to be there for you. But I'm going to tell you when you're being an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
So expect that. And I'm like, nobody was there to tell me that.
No, that's a wonderful thing, actually. I wish I'd had more of that in my life. I could have saved some missteps.
Alex got to learn the hard lesson of what it was like to be the oldest sibling yesterday.
Oh, really?
Well, Logan, Pincalo bought himself Doom, the video game.
Yes.
And Logan found the game and opened it and took the disc out.
Yes.
And Alex accidentally admitted to watching Logan do the whole thing. And Pincalo and I are like, well, why did you let him do it? Why'd you just sit there and watch him? Like, at least tell us and we'll come and help you or something. Like come on. So he got his movie taken away from him.
No.
And I'm like, I know, buddy. I'm the oldest. It sucks. I got that several times in my life.
Yeah.
Why weren't you watching your sister?
Well, if you got to teach them to be responsible early on.
Yep.
It's important. That's the most loving thing that you can do. And let's see. I was going to let's see. Alexima says there's a guy on YouTube, I forget his name, but he's like a young physicist who tried to explain what would happen if the shit in video games was real. And he's really good. I don't know who it is. Trying to think of I love Minute Physics. Minute Physics goes through and explains physical principles in they're usually like 3-minute long videos.
Oh, okay.
So it's a painless way to get physics, and there are a lot of it's very audiovisual. You know, he's basically doing line drawings while he's explaining what's going on. But there's even for people who can't see, there's a lot in his explanation that you can get out of things, although he does refer to his drawings quite a bit. But I enjoyed that. I enjoy Numberphile. Some of that stuff, I can get too much of it. But enjoy some of the math and physics, even some fairly hardcore stuff, some of the stuff that requires much more advanced math than what I took. I can at least understand the concept of what they're talking about. That's really important in understanding, some of the work that's being done at CERN. When they talk about, the probability work, the advanced probability work that has to be done there to figure out what's going on when they smash atoms into each other.
Yeah.
Basically what they're doing is taking like a whole bunch of hydrogen or helium or whatever and passing 100 million electron volts through it and, spinning up neutrons or protons and smashing protons into protons or neutrons into protons.
Yeah.
And then looking at what happens as a result to see what subparticles are released, what subparticles remain, and how they form, and how long they form, and all that stuff. It tells them the types of particles that are being formed, and they give them a view into what the building blocks are of atoms. If you ever wondered what atoms were made of, atoms are made of things, and they're called muons and mesons and so forth. And they're not so much made of those things as when you destroy them, they give off those things.
Right.
So it's as though they had them in them the whole time, but even though they don't, it's a function of something that is that happens when when a proton is destroyed, for example. It will give off this stuff, but and it the line between abstract reality and physical reality is very strange down there, because they can say, well, like let's see if I can get this right. A proton is comprised of two ups and a down, I think, something like that. Two up quarks and a down quark. Proton.
What is drinking whole coffee?
Yes, I'm drinking my coffee.
Why?
Yeah, two up quarks and a down form a proton, and they are held together by the strong force, and that strong force is mediated by gluons. And we've never seen a gluon. We don't know what a gluon looks like.
My guitar, please leave it closed. No, I'll show you my guitar later.
Is that your Les Paul?
Yeah.
Is that a real Les Paul, or is that an Epiphone?
It's an Epiphone.
That's what I have, is an Epiphone. And I love the feel of that Les Paul, the action on the fingerboard.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's
Oh, it's 11:38.
oh my goodness. Have we really been talking for that long?
Yes, Blind has a guitar well on our list. It's an Epiphone Les Paul Custom Pro. And it's a blue.
I've got a Mosrite Ventures model straight that I bought for $300 back in 1969 or 70.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, that's it was actually from the same factory run as the factory run that they produced all of the Ventures musical instruments from.
Ooh.
Has the serial number stamped into the fingerboard, the whole shot. It's really nice. All original stuff. Even the humbucker pickups are standard.
I have settled for a Squire because I can throw it around and nothing breaks it.
Yeah, exactly. Squire's a nice light guitar too. Playing like a 2-hour set or hour and a half, 2-hour long set with that Mosrite. It's a heavy guitar. The guitar weighs like 50 pounds, and it hurts. It hurts your shoulder, even when you're young. It hurts your shoulder. Stand up and play that thing. But playing Dick Dale and Beach Boys and stuff like that, it's a great guitar for that. And also for playing the Ventures pipeline and stuff like that. But anyway, I suppose we should run along.
Yeah, I gotta.
We've been going for almost 2 hours.
I've got to entertain my son here.
Yeah. Entertain your son.
Go and call Pincalo and see how he's doing with Mr. Logan.
All right.
They had to go to Sarnia, which is a 2 and 3 hour drive one way.
Oh, wow.
But Logan really likes driving with Pincalo.
Of course he does.
And Pincalo wanted to make things a little bit easier for me, so he took Logan with him.
Good for him. Good man.
Papa, in my God.
You put what in your garage? You parked? Well, chat, I want to say thank you for coming out.
That's what.
I wanted to say thank you guys for coming out and listening to us talk about Islam and guitars and space and all that fun stuff.
You get it all here on Blind Press Coffee Stream.
Sure do. Thank you for being patient with me and Alex. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Come back tomorrow, and I hope you'll enjoy tomorrow's stream. And don't forget, Saturday night, the Star Trek stream is we're going to be talking about Scorpion, the two-parter that ends season 3 of Voyager and begins season 4 of Voyager. And that will be 10 p.m. Eastern on Saturday night. So I hope everyone had a good time today. Have a great day, everyone. Stay safe out there. Have an awesome day.
Be careful out there.